All right. I see one's here now. I'll go ahead and get started. No, I wasn't planning on doing this tonight, but as a matter of fact, I had other plans, which I was able to accomplish about 50%. And I've had friends calling me up about what's happening, of course, in the Middle East, some things that are happening here. And I just figured that I better cut some of my social activities short tonight and come on and make a statement. Again, not because I have a far reaching audience or have any clout or any horsepower. Even even people that I associate with that do have that horsepower don't particularly like to converse with me because of my um, uh, useless reputation. I guess let's put it that way. Not that I don't have the credentials to talk about what I do, but I've long explained to you that I'm anathema, pariah, uh, heretic, seditionist, all sorts of things because I don't go along with the status quo. Almost, I don't think there's really much of anything I'm a part of as far as the status quo is concerned. But enough about me for right now. I just wanted to say a few things to make sure this was up and running. Ladies and gentlemen, it's kinetic. All right. If you don't know what I mean by kinetic, I mean that the war, the big war, is on. I think anybody that's paying attention to this, I haven't even been watching. Well, I was watching CNN earlier today, not because I wanted to, but because the people I was out with, they were paying attention to it, and I saw the coverage with, the same old things. I don't even know if the CNN reporters were actually there, but they had all the, how they play these games that they're actually in the war zone and they're not. They're back in their studios in Atlanta or wherever it is. But regardless, serious things have now kicked off, and we've seen because of some situations that have occurred in Syria and in other places, Iraq and other places, U.S. bases are being attacked sporadically at this point. But I think that could be the same thing as basically when an adversary is testing your lines and your defensive positions. They're probing, in other words, and they're harassing the U.S. forces all over at this point. That's typical, and this crescendo this will start to increase to a crescendo, and at this point, I don't think there's any stopping any of this. I don't think any of the peace talks would ever take hold now, ceasefires, anything. I don't think anything's going to work at this point. Um, I'm kind of the town crier, and how they used in the old days. They had the town crier going through the town, talking about the news and what was going on and all that, and warning people like Paul Revere, things like that. And I don't think I'm premature in this. I've been talking about it for a long time, but things are getting very serious now. Uh, the IDF has entered into Gaza. They've been pounding the hell out of it for the last couple of days, and it increased today. And my understanding is that they are headed in totally at this point. Whether Biden gave his blessings on that, I don't know. Bibi Netanyahu thinks he's a messiah, as I've explained before, and this is his political opportunity. This is where he's going to sink or fail because he's had so many things happen where people have resisted him. His own people have been demonstrating against him. He's had criminal charges filed against him. Then he did this thing with the court system where he wants to be able to basically nullify any court decision that goes against his wishes. So the whole thing's upside down in Israel. And of course, I've been very critical of the Israeli government for a long time. Not just because of who they claim they are and obviously are not, but because of the way they treat their people, both Jews, Orthodox, and otherwise, and of course Arabs and Palestinians. It's been a bad deal. Been a bad deal for a long time. And I could tell you something. I know some people that worked in special forces and actually worked with the Israelis, and they hate them, frankly. There are some American soldiers, U.S. soldiers that love Israelis, but I know some that don't. Okay, and for very good reasons. So the same thing goes with, unfortunately, and I don't mean to get anybody upset here. I imagine I won't. The same thing goes with certain Arab nations. There's some real problems there, as you can imagine. I talked about it last night. You know, there's the no-hide laws on the Jewish side, and there's Sharia law on the Muslim side, and they both of them hate you. Okay, both of them. And I don't care what anybody says. It's all in there. It's all justified. You can look it up for yourself. All right, I'm not going to rehash it here. The problem is that we're being forced into this thing, and our wicked, evil government leaders and corporate leaders and institutions, all these different things that have been formed, the intelligence community, all of this has been building to this, and now here we are. I would suspect that within the next few hours or days, there will be major retaliations by the Arab nations against Israel and against U.S. interests in the Middle East, Europe, and even in the United States. I think it's imminent. That's why I call this kinetic. I don't want to go into a whole dissertation or explanation of the military situation that's happening right now, both in Israel and elsewhere, but I'm just going to caution you, advise you that at the same time that you're taking care of your families, you've got to stay aware of what's happening, because this could go bad, really fast. I mean, the match has been lit, the kindling is on. You know, it's starting to flare up, and eventually it's going to explode. So you've got to keep your situation awareness on high, understand what's happening, try to keep track. The bad thing is your governments are lying to you. The United States government is lying to us, and they've done everything they can to put the American people at a disadvantage, both from information on information and things like that, and on how to take care of ourselves and prepare. Plus, they've been allowing, as you know, I don't have to repeat this to everybody every time, but this is serious. We have been infiltrated with the government's help because of all this stuff that the UN did with refugees. It's all building up to take down Western democracies, Western societies. We have been infiltrated, invaded by literally hundreds of thousands and millions of military-aged men from all sorts of countries around the world, not just South America, not just Central America, but Africa, the Middle East, even Asia, even the Orient. Some of these people came along for looking for a better life, possibly, but look who's financing them to get here. They have these cards from the UN and from these different NGOs that give them all this money, and they're arriving well fed. It's not like they're starving. And what are they really fleeing? Okay, we are being set up for a major confrontation with these people here in the United States. The situation that happened in Maine the last couple of days, you all are aware of that. Again, I looked at the picture, with the grainy pictures that I was looking at, and then with the portrait picture of the supposed suspect, this card guy. There's something wrong with it cannot be the same guy. Then I heard or I saw a video with some of the shooting that was going on, and I am certain that what I was hearing was a selective fire automatic weapon, not just a semi-auto. People tried to say it was echoing off the buildings and things like that. I know what that sounds like. No, this was definitely 3-round bursts, sometimes going to 5. And there could have been more than one weapon involved, but I can't really tell from the one video I saw. But we've heard some things, and of course, at this point in time, the government's not going to tell you the truth. I mean, it could have been run by the IC again, by the FBI or whatever that they do, because what they want to do is make you, the American people, so concerned that you don't know what to do. Because right now, who's yelling for gun confiscation again? Well, of course, all the Democrats and maybe even some GOP members. But the people that are really screaming about it are Biden and Kamala Harris and the DHS and ATF and people like that, um, right at the critical time where this insurrection, not by the American people, but by, and I should say guerrilla warfare, really. The guerrilla warfare is about ready to kick off, in my estimation. All of these sleeper cells that have been here for years getting ready for this, all the people that we've let in because our government wants these people to, it's not just for taxation purposes, it's not just for voting purposes. They've been planning the takedown of the American people for a long time. I've told you this plan was in even in the early in the 1850s, and it wasn't. And those plans were not discussing the situation with the Civil War. This was something else that was going to happen later, and it's all coming to fruition. So we have this situation in Maine, and now they're all calling for confiscation again. Can they pull that off? Well, the American people, those who are armed, are going to resist this, but how hard, I don't know. I've been begging the states, the governors, the legislatures to make state militias, actual governmental state militias, not the National Guard. That's run by the feds. The feds have first dubs on that and really control it. I'm talking about state funded, state trained, state equipped, state financed, state militias like Lieutenant Colonel retired Alan West takes part in the state of Texas in the Texas State Militia. Not to take on the American government. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about taking on these groups that the American government, the U.S. government, has allowed to come in here and is going to cause us a great deal of problems. And of course, the criminals rising up too. They want to take your weapons away so that the people that they're letting in can have their way with you without any concern of retaliation or being able for you to defend yourselves. That's plain and simple what this is. It's a Marxist ploy, and Kamala Harris and Biden and all the people that they have up there, including Christopher Wray, I might add, they're all Marxists. It's obvious from the way that they operate. And you are the enemy. And they've been bringing their foot soldiers in here to take advantage when this thing kicks off, both the Ukraine situation and Russia. If that Ukraine's really done, but at this point there are some other things that could happen because of the situation in the Middle East and the show of muscle from North Korea and China, and of course all the BRICS countries and all the global South people that are just really can see what's going on. Okay, and the people in D.C. and in New York and in London, their entire system that they've been forcing on people for the last 70 years, actually longer than that, but 70 years at least. This entire Anglo-American New World Order banking system and using the money to force people to do what they want to do, all of that. Okay, I don't have to go into any details. The world is finally starting to resist that, and rightly so. Rightly so. So Biden and the all of those different, I could sit here and start listing a bunch of organizations, okay, and I'm not going to do that. But like the Council on Foreign Relations, all those people, they need this war to take the heat off of them so that the people that are dying from the 3 years of treatments that they've been getting, the people that are running into financial problems because the banks are failing and our system is failing, our financial system, and then everything else that's happening, they've got to take our minds off of that and get us on board with supporting a war so they can hide the deaths, so they can hide the financial failures, they can hide the economies failing, manufacturing failing, all of this, so that they can blame it on that rather than what they've been doing to you. This is just the cover story. And I think most of the people that follow me understand that that's what's going on. Yes, the main shooter was found dead. Does that surprise anybody? Does that surprise anyone? Now nobody will be, whoever the real shooters were, wherever he really got the weapon or wherever the shooters, and I think there were multiple of them. There were probably at least two. From what I can gather, there was this guy apparently, and all of this is subject to manipulation, lies, deceit, and all that. But apparently, this guy, if he was even on the location there, if he was even there, uh, the one shooter apparently ran into two others that were apparently of Middle Eastern appearance. At anyway, now I'm not certain of that story. There's going to be a lot of disinformation out there, so that they can call anybody who says that this is possibly set up by an MK Ultra type deal or FBI thing or CIA or whatever. They can say we're conspiracy theorists. But look, the guy was found dead. Now there's no way that he can be interrogated, and he's found dead. Did he shoot himself? Well, that's part of the deal too. When these guys go through this mind control, they're basically they have a trigger where they'll actually shoot themselves or take a, whatever. Usually it's by that. But yeah, so now what really happened we'll never know. And of course, that's part of the plan. I hope you understand that. That makes it easy for the government to just say, oh, yeah, it was single perpetrator. He was a reserve guy who went nuts, got a weapon somehow, even though he's not supposed to be able to. And now we have to confiscate everybody's guns, and we can't trust anybody because of one criminal, if in fact that's what happened. Frankly, I think that this is an initial attack on the American people by these sleeper cells. That's what I think it is at this point. And this guy, who apparently is well known by his neighbors and his family and those types of things. There is another part of this which I mentioned last night, and that is he got a hearing aid, probably from the VA, I would think, and he said he was hearing voices telling him to do things. 5G, chips in the brain, who knows? I mean, there's so much evil going on right now, and you don't know who to trust. So I sent out a text message to all of my family and many of my friends, and told them that we're at the stage right now where they're going to really have to have their situational awareness on high. They're going to have to be armed at all times. They're going to have to continue to prepare, definitely pray, and definitely not take part in anything. You notice all these people gathering in these different demonstrations, both pro-Palestinian and pro-Israel. Stay away from those things. Stay away from them. Stay away. I'm not saying that the people that are doing that are wrong to let their voices be heard, but these are going to be traps. These are going to be places where two things are going to happen. One, you're going to be an open target for whatever enemy is out there against that particular group, or that they just want to have a mass casualty thing. And number two, there's going to be the conservatives in particular are going to be hounded by the feds and are going to be surveilled, and probably have entrapment operations put up on them like they did with the J6ers. Okay, just telling you. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you should be a coward. I'm saying to be smart, because that's what this war is about entrapping your mind so that then they can entrap your body, and then they can take you out of the game. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So we've had those things. The Kinetic has started over in the Middle East, and of course it's been going on there with Russia and Ukraine for a while. And I think Ukraine's about done on that. They've really lost, but at the same time, I'm getting a lot of stuff from Ukrainian propagandists. Apparently, I've made some impression upon somebody out there who's pro-Ukraine, or even part of the Ukrainian government, or maybe intelligence community people that are pushing the Ukraine thing, whatever. They're trying to convince me that my position is wrong. Well, I'm too much of an historian and a political and military guy to be fooled by that. So I already know that that's just a ploy. But it's also allowing these different organizations, government and otherwise, to start categorizing people where they are. Well, I've been out in the open for how many years now? So, I'm not going to go dunk my head in the sand or climb in a cave. But the point is that this is happening. So all of this is coming to a head. This whole idea about now gun confiscation again, right at this. Isn't it interesting? Israel, apparently, and I talked about this a few nights ago, Israel basically took the weapons away from their people a while back. And now that they were totally helpless and disarmed during the Hamas terror murder spree. And no, I'm not calling that a freedom fighting venture, not in any way, shape, or form. Not the way that worked. Nope, I'm not doing it, and nobody's going to make me do that. Hamas was evil when it did that. But I also maintain that the Israeli government was. This was an inside job as well, and I've already told you why, all the reasons I feel that way. Not just feel that way, but there's too much evidence to suggest otherwise. Okay. But the point is that they took the Israeli government took those weapons away, left those people totally helpless, and look what happened. And now Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and the ATF and the DHS and the Democrats or whoever, even GOP people are behind some of this. Now that we have all of these potential attackers in our nation, they want to disarm you again. Why? Not because they're concerned about the safety of your communities, like that cackling witch Kamala Harris says. I called her a different name today on X, but I'll go with that for right now. They've set us up economically, politically, militarily, police state-wise, also attacking your rights of speech, self-defense, protection against Fourth Amendment violations, extreme punishments, all of these things. They violated it all, and they're attacking you. Your own government is attacking you. It's very obvious, and they're going to use this war over here that's going to expand. I think it's going to kick off. Iran said if the IDF went into Gaza, they would react. And Biden and the Council on Foreign Relations and the neocons like Newland, they want this war. Big war. Depopulation, stealing resources. They hate mankind, and they're in a position now, especially in the West, where their policies have proven to be a failure, and the only way out is to kill a bunch of people all over the world. And they're into it at this point. You already know my position on how I feel about Israel. If you don't know, go look at my last few videos on the live stream and on the video tab as well. And really, and I know there are a lot of you that have an X account. It used to be Twitter. A lot of you have an X account. A lot of you don't want to do that. Look, you don't have to just accept anybody that you're watching on X, okay? For right now, so that you can keep informed, both not just from me, but from a lot of other good people, select who you want information from. And I'm not saying that you close your mind to other differing points of view, but at least go there so you can see, because there's a lot of activity on there. I'm constantly on X, constantly, dealing not just, well, basically with everything I talk about here and anything that's associated with it. Now, in the description box below is a video that was put up just a few hours ago by Stephen Gardner. He's kind of an independent newscaster, kind of informal in some ways, but he's really good, and he has a lot of good guests on, and he's keeping track of all these things that are happening, a lot like the Duran, Alexander Mercouris, Alex Christoforou, Brian Berletic of the New Atlas, Scott Ritter. I mean, I could go on and on and on about all these people that are keeping track of all this stuff. Well, Stephen Gardner does a good job. And I believe it or not, I think he's a Mormon in Utah. So you might feel a little reticent about that, but he does a good job, okay? He doesn't bring his religious concepts, at least not directly, into his reporting. So I would again advise you, he's in the description box below. Go listen to him, especially this particular video that I have in the description box that explains some things that are going on and what Biden's been doing and all that. So I just wanted to come on tonight and tell you that I think it's kicked off. It's only going to escalate from here. I don't think there are going to be any calls for peace that are going to matter. And even if they do, there are emotions and hatred that have been heated up to such a point that I don't think can be reversed. Blood is the only thing that's left, and they're willing to shed lots of it. Do not get involved in the military. Do not. State militias, like I said a few minutes ago, do not. That's all right. Uh, Forming people in your neighborhood, your friends and family to protect each other, that's good. But if they try to institute, if they try to get you in the military, if they try to force a draft or whatever, no, 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 no. I don't know what else to say, and of course, I can't really see the chat, unfortunately, with this new format. I don't have my computer up here. I wanted to get this up real quick. This time they want to draft women. I know. Well, look at Ukraine. Okay, it's happening there. Of course they do. They want to destroy womanhood. They've been at it for 70 years with the Equal Rights Amendment and all. I mean, everybody knows I'm a sexist by the definition of the world at this point. But I believe that despite the fact that they can be a pain in the neck in more ways than one, and they can easily change their mind every 3 to 7 years, whatever. I've gone through all that. I know exactly all the pitfalls and difficulties. But regardless, women need to be respected and protected. And I will not change on that, even though I and many men actually have been really treated very poorly by certain women. Okay, and people say, "Well, Roy, you deserved it." Well, okay, fine. I'm sure that if I was, Hugh Hefner with a few $1 billion, a lot of you folks would have maybe a different idea and probably try to brown nose me instead of try to use those things as pejoratives. But at any rate, protect Kamala Harris? No, she's not. No, I'm not saying that. Kamala Harris is evil. She's a cackling witch, okay, who doesn't know anything, and I mean, Biden put her over the whole thing on gun control. I mean, I don't think I need to say much about her. If you listen to her talk for 30 seconds, she isn't worth listening to, and she doesn't know anything, and she doesn't know what she's talking about, and she can't even convey it in any decent form. But it's sort of like in Batman, I think it was the first one, Batman Begins. He's there with Liam Neeson, who's the villain, and if you remember, Batman is in the train with Liam Neeson, Ra's Ghul, I think is his name, and they're having this fight, and finally, they're coming up, and the track is missing, and the train's going to wreck, and Ra's Ghul, Liam Neeson says, "Are you going to kill me?" And he says, "No, I'm not going to kill you." But Batman says, "No, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you either." And he exits, and the train goes down, and that's the end of Liam Neeson's character, Ra's Ghul. That's how I feel about Kamala Harris. If there was a situation where I was supposed to save her, I wouldn't say, I'm not going to hurt you, but I'm not going to save you either, because that's how they look. Actually, for you, the way they're looking at you is they want to kill you and they don't want to save you. Well, I don't want to kill anybody, but that doesn't mean I have to save them either. All right. We are living in a new Wag the Dog movie. Oh, absolutely. Except this one, nuclear weapons are definitely in the game. Okay. Right now, you've got nuclear weapon systems activated in every nuclear nation in the world right now. Every one of them. Roy took wives and made those wives feel equal in value. Oh, Debbie Donovan. Debbie! Well, Debbie, you're sweet to say that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read this. I think I can. She says, Roy took wives and made those wives feel equal and valued. I interviewed him on his polygamy, and honestly, Roy is the nicest well, that's only because you don't know that many of them, Debbie, but okay. Thank you for saying that. Of course, I'm not doing that now, as Debbie knows, for lots of reasons, and I'm not going to get into that. If you want to know, you can get my book and read it, which I don't mean the Crimson Thread, I mean this one here. And Debbie, bringing this up, probably not the best time to do it. Wow, this is really in here tight. I'll get it out though so people can see it. Guy Bouillon got a hold of me a little while ago, and he said, "Hey, your book's on online. They can get it at these different places, but they're autographed copies. And believe it or not, it's like $130 a copy of this if you get the original edition with my signature in it. But these are reprints here, and I'm not here to sell this. Remember, I don't get any money from any of this, but if you want a copy, you can go pay $130 for one of the originals, or you can go to, I'll put it up there so you can see it. Okay, this address right here. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, if you call that number, you can place an order in, and I believe they have some of these available. I'm not trying to promote the lifestyle. That's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to show you that the government is evil. And I told them back then when they were harassing me over my particular lifestyle that what we see in all the debauchery and degeneracy today would happen. And here it is. Okay, so that's really the point of the book. And to talk about the rights of the people as opposed to the tyranny of government. So I'm not selling it, I'm just letting you know that it's there. I don't get any money from it. Well, thanks, Debbie, for saying that. All right, that's all I got. We're there, ladies and gentlemen, and this thing could spin out of control. Is it Armageddon, like Colonel Douglas McGregor said? Is that around the corner? Well, I'm not certain of that. Remember, I look at the Bible as a playbook for the evil side as much as it is that we try to use it to improve ourselves, okay? So it looks like this thing's going to die here any second. So let me put this in like I always do. The best plans can go awry, right? Even the plans of the evil ones can go awry depending upon the circumstances. So I'm not saying that this is, the apocalypse is a misnomer. Apocalypse just means revealing. We've been in an apocalypse now for quite some time. We're seeing what our governments are really like. We're seeing what our politicians are really like. We're seeing what our ecumenical, our ecclesiastical leaders are really like. Pope Francis came out with something here this week. I don't want to get into it, but I got to admit it was shocking to some extent. But it's not surprising to me either. We're at that time. This is the age of deception and evil, and it's being uncovered everywhere. So that's a revealing, an apocalypse. Armageddon, on the other hand, talks about that final battle, or a significant battle in the Valley of Megiddo, there in Israel, in that area there, and yeah, that could happen. But by the same token, I'm very, very worried at this point, and I don't know how much I should say, but I'll just put it this way: don't get involved in the eschatological timetable of end of world events. Don't do that. For one reason, because you might mix up who the good guys are as opposed to bad guys in reality. Just because this thing here says that God told these people to do this, that, or something else, and I talked about this the other day, just because this talks about that, don't automatically choose sides because of this. Don't do it. You go inside and you ask God to give you His Spirit in your heart and in your mind, because there are things in here that they're using right now to destroy the lives of thousands and maybe millions of people, because God said it's okay for your survival. That's not how it works. And what we're seeing is absolute evil in the name of self-defense. That's all I got. I won't say any more tonight. Prep, pray, stay out of the way. Keep your situational awareness on high, eyes on the horizon, ears to the ground. I would say right now, if you are out in public and you are not armed, you're foolish. Absolutely foolish. You know, make sure you know how to use it. Make sure you understand the principles of self-defense. Yeah, you're going to have to get to know your local laws or wherever you are too. But by the same token, there's an old statement, right? I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Plus, if you're defending the life of your lives of your family or friends, it's probably worth it. It's all kinetic, ladies and gentlemen. Be ready.